Hello and welcome to our First Friday. This is the very first day and the very first Friday of April. Welcome to First Fridays. I am so glad you're here. My name is Laura Newberry-Yokley and I am an author. I am a holistic leadership coach and all-around spiritual sojourner, and I am really excited to be with you today. So let me get all settled and started here, and then we'll get moving. These are so fun to do, and I'm just glad you're with me today. This is presented by Sonrisa Products. Sonrisa Products is a holistic leadership company, and we are a publishing company. We are a coaching leadership training company. We are a Reiki energy working life coaching company. It is basically where spirituality meets business. Where does intention meet action? It's that sweet spot. So helping you find peace in all the things and in all the ways. So yeah, let's go. So I want to welcome everyone here today, tonight, this morning, this afternoon, this evening, whenever you are tuning in, whether live in person on the 1st of April or afterwards. Now is an invitation to make yourself feel comfortable. And of course, you know me by now, if you've been listening to any one of these, that my version of comfort is a really nice warm shawl, a blanket, and a warm cup of tea, even when it's 70 degrees Fahrenheit out, which is so funny. But it is my philosophy to find ways to incorporate a blanket into my fashion. So you will always see me with scarves and neck coverings and just throws. However, I can feel that as cozy and comfortable as possible at all times, while, bold and sophisticated and even a little elegant. That is my goal always. So I hope you make yourself feel comfortable in the way that you feel comfort, the way that you relax and are able to let down and let go. That's really the point there. Make sure that you have something to write with for the next bit here. I recommend, of course, because I am completely biased and partial, the Healing Calendar 365. It is the calendar that I wrote because it was the calendar that I needed. You often will hear authors say that they write the books that they need to read. Well, this is certainly true in this case, and I'm dreaming of it becoming an app someday, because I would use that app and only that app, because it would be everything that I want and more. But it's a place where I can really document my spiritual journey, my healing, and do it in a quantitative and qualitative way that I can measure and go back and look and see and really just kind of gauge what I'm doing. This is available on Amazon.com, or you can get an autographed copy at sonrisaproducts.com. So if you don't have this, be sure to order one. They're hot commodity items, and the folks that do have them, I have heard from them that they really enjoy using it as well. It's just really open format, so it's really possible for you to make it your own, which is cool. So if you don't have this, it's great to have a journal with blank pages that you want to write in, that's fine too. Just make sure that you have something to write with or draw with, or, something like that. Okay. Just gonna check in here. Okay, cool. So now let's talk a little bit, okay, about holistic leadership. So Nusa Products is a holistic leadership company, and we practice leadership all the time. It's so much easier to research and learn about leadership than it is to actually do leadership. And leadership is top down. That's the most commonly known version of leadership is top down. Bottom up leadership is awesome. That is really, from a hierarchical perspective, awesome in organizations. Just watching your support staff or your junior executives kind of just completely take the reins and take the lead. And it's so excited to watch, and just watch. Another way of putting it is managing up. That's so cool. The other kind of leadership that I talk a lot about is sideways leadership, and that's out and about every which way, so that leadership affects everybody around you. It's attitudinal, it's behavioral, it is energetic. Basically, holistic leadership is about knowing who you are so you can help others be fully who they are. And leadership is literally code for self-exploration and self-appreciation and self-care. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. All right, let's see. Okay, I am not seeing my camera, so I don't know if you're seeing me or not. And if you're not, that's okay too. You can see the slides and follow along with my voice, and that's all right. If you can see my face, then off you go. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the holistic leadership assessment. And that is what you can find in this whole Healing Calendar 365. At the beginning of the calendar is an assessment in 10 areas of your life. And the math is so easy. Anyone can follow. So what you do is you just go through each section and you check off the 10 items listed in each section, and then you total them up. So if you check off all 10 of those boxes, and you get a 10 out of 10. If you maybe didn't do so well in one of these lovely areas, maybe you have a 5 out of 10 or a 2 out of a 10 or a 0 out of a 10. And there's no judgment. It is just simply so over a longer period of time where you are, and you can map your way through because I know in business, if you can measure it, you can manage it. And, that's true in healing and spirituality too. So that's what this is. That's what this holistic leadership assessment is all about. So I encourage you to take the assessment. If you haven't been taking it along the way, take it. It's a really cool assessment. And one of the things that I encourage you to do is to take it as a baseline. Find your baseline, and figure out where you are. Put your anchor down, so then you can then measure where you go from here. Is it up or down or sideways or same? You'll be able to know that. So quantifying all of these areas is so cool. And I just encourage you to really kind of give yourself that visibility of how you're doing. So then you would do this 10 sections, and then you bring all the 10 sections here. And then you add up those 10 sections for a total out of 100. And then you get to know, like, I'm really in need of focusing on some self-care right now. I'm pretty burnt out. Okay, so let's focus there. You can really laser focus your healing and do yourself the greatest service of just focusing and prioritizing on yourself. And then you will be able to kind of move forward in a different way. It is just phenomenal. So once you quantify here's where then you start to compare. So again, establish your baseline. Okay, that is your first time of taking it. Now, if you did and are following through this webinar series, we would be on the 4th test plus your baseline. So that's number 5. And it doesn't matter if you're keeping up with it or not. It does not matter at all, one bit whatsoever, because you can't do this wrong. There are no grades. It's just seeing, did you go up or down? So, take your section total, put all of the sections together, get your score of out of 100, and then compare. So if you took it in January, February, March, April, you'll be able to see exactly like, oh shoot, I got a 70 in March, for example, or gosh, I went from a 70 to a 75. I'm doing better. Then you can see, or if you need serious interventions and you need to reach out for help, you'll be able to see that too. The other thing you can do, which is really fun, is take a monthly average. Take your January, February, March, April, 4 months, and divide it, add those up, and then divide that by 4. So it's the number of items on the top. You would then divide it by that number. So that would be your monthly average. And then you can also, since we just finished Q1 of 2022, January, February, and March, you could also get a quarterly average, because then what's really fun is then you go, what is my average for Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4? Because this book, Healing Calendar 365, not only does monthly recapitulation or recap, but it also does quarterly. So that is the best, funnest thing, that you can put your evaluation, you can put your assessment with what you're doing in your progress on a larger period of time, and you can look at it horizontally over a long period of time. Or you can look vertically, you can go deeply within some of these areas and look at, taking financial health and wealth, looking at section 7, for example, and saying, okay, over the, periods of time, how did I do? Or versus each other, you can look across, like, wealth is doing great financially, but physically maybe not so good, or, something like that. So you can really just kind of start analyzing, how are you? And really give yourself time to notice, because the impulse is to say, I'm fine, thank you, how are you? And that's the end of it, So yeah. Then the other thing I encourage you to do, there is space in Healing Calendar 365 for journal spaces. And you can find that we're going to be on, for notes and drawing this month, we are now on, I think we're now on 64. Is that right? We were on page 51 last time. No, 57. Yeah, 57 is the goals. Okay, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. And then, yeah, that's right. So page 64 is your notes and drawing page. So, or you have a plain piece of paper, and I encourage you to journal about your April score. Notice, what are your observations? IMESP, the 5 observations. I is intuitive, M is mental, E is emotional, S is spiritual, and P is physical. What are the 5 observations that you notice? It's not empirical. It's not the 5 senses. It's the 5 knowings, the 5 energies. And so that'll help you kind of evaluate how you're doing even more deeply. And then you can, go a little deeper into journaling about monthly observations over time, March versus April, et cetera, and quarterly observations. That'll come when we finish Q2. All righty. Now is an opportunity to center and settle and move inward. I invite you to sit in a comfortable place. and I invite you to close your eyes. I'm going to play some music that I'm allowed to play. It was relinquished. The rights were relinquished so that we can play. So thank you to the beautiful artist who created this music. So I encourage you to close your eyes. Just take a big breath and let yourself notice where you are. Do you have any physical experiences that you notice? Is there pain or tingling or numbness or just sensations in your body, and you can notice those. And then I encourage you to maybe lift your shoulders a couple of times around, just kind of release your day. Let it go. Thank you for a great opportunity to be here. I am literally going to run out of batteries. This is going to be awesome. So bear with me here, people. I didn't use my charger. Just keep breathing in and out, taking yourself that grace here. The last thing that I pulled out of my bag after I pulled everything else out, but I'm going to put some power into my technology so that we can keep going, and I really appreciate the pause. So just keep noticing your body. Inhale, a little deep inhale, maybe like 4 or 5 counts. And then you can release it for double that. Keep breathing in, nice deep breaths, feel your breaths, full breaths, breathe in, hold, and release. And blow it fast out of your mouth. Exhale. Release what was held in your breath there. Again. And release. You can keep doing this as many times as you need. But I encourage you to just notice your body and where it is and how it's feeling. So yeah, that's great. And just appreciate where you are in this moment. This part, let's move into the answer is simple. This is a deck of oracle cards by Sonia Choquette. And if you've listened before, we've drawn some pretty cool cards. This is one card guidance where we take the deck of 62 cards and just think about what we'd like to experience for the month of April, and then we share it out as just another way to experience guidance for us. All right, so let me give it a good shuffle, and then we will talk about it. This is intention for April. Relinquishing our lives, surrendering them to the divine, starting new. The spring is here, almost, at least not in Ohio. It definitely has been snowing the last couple of days. I think patience is important to really purge and detox and apologize for what's needed to apologize for, and step out of your comfort zone a little bit. Be that rebel. Clean up your mess. What have you mucked up lately, and what needs to be fixed and cleaned in your way so that you can heal? You can heal. So that's, let's see, the intention for April 2022. I'm going to cut the deck. Okay, here it is. Yes. So the card is Say I'm Sorry. Okay, this is a guidebook that goes with the oracle cards, and this is written by Sonia Choquette. She's one of my favorites. She is a world-renowned author. She is a storyteller, a vibrational healer, and sixth sensory spiritual teacher. She is in international demand for her guidance, her wisdom, and her capacity to heal the soul. So we're going to do a little soul healing here together on this First Friday webinar and podcast. Awesome stuff. You can either watch this go down. Hopefully the video is working tonight. We're having lots of tech trouble, and we're just working right through it with patience and grace. And you can also just listen to the podcast anywhere you can find podcasts. So just making it available in different modalities, which is so fun. And both are available at sonrisaproducts.com. So yeah, I really encourage you to check it out. If this is the first time you're joining live, you can do it live, or you can do it after the fact. So live guidance is fun, and also, after the fact guidance, because time is in fact not linear. What if that were true? And then it doesn't matter when you receive the guidance. It's still guidance. Okay, so let me read this to you here. Okay. Boy, okay, I found it. I went to the wrong page. Let's say I'm sorry for the month of April. Let's face it, your ego hates to admit that it makes mistakes, and it doesn't like to say I'm sorry. Rather, it conjures, oh my gosh, you can tell I'm getting tired. It conjures up a long list of excuses and explanations for its poor and fearful behavior. The ego ignores the impact it has on others because it's too busy defending itself. Your spirit, on the other hand, doesn't hesitate to apologize for all mistakes the ego makes as soon as they become obvious. It knows that we're all students and we're all here to learn. And mistakes are essential. They're an essential part of the process. Your spirit also lives in the now and is aware that the best way to be present is both to forgive and ask for forgiveness for errors as quickly as possible. Now is the time to follow your spirit as it, comes to mistakes. Where might you have caused injury or hurt to another spirit? Where might you have spoken harshly, given someone a reason to doubt himself or herself or their self, or dimmed the spark of another's fire? Where have you stolen joy, felt resentful or jealous, or spoken disrespectfully about another? These are some great journal questions, by the way. I love to go back and just kind of look at this. Because we're all one spirit, these mistakes not only hurt others and dim the light of the world, they hurt you as well. Follow your spirit back to the place of injury and say, I'm sorry. Keep your prideful ego from preventing this important healing. Every apology calls back more of your light. Apologize now to others and to yourself. Oh, cool. Thank you, Sonia. Thank you, thank you. And thank you so much for listening to this guidance that we have. So this is my favorite of all. I am a hyper apologizer. I do not mind apologizing. I have, however, gotten really good at apologizing when necessary, not apologizing to keep the peace in a codependent way. Very important distinction. But in India, as part of the Jain faith, Jainism, very similar to Buddhism, they come from the same shamanic root philosophically. Buddhism went to China and then East Asia, and then came to the United States and to the West, if you will. Jainism stayed in India, never left. Very little, very few people. The diaspora is very small around the world. But there are about, I think, this statistic may have changed since the last time I had studied Jainism with the International Summer School for Jain Studies. Beautiful program. But there are about 300,000 Jains in the world. The religion is based on nonviolence, ahimsa. It is a beautiful religion. There are other pillars as well. Ahimsa means not causing harm. And that is all kinds of harm, whether that's physical harm. We teach our children not to put their hands on each other, and our, adults should know that too. Our words can cause harm, as can our energy. Even our emotions can cause harm. I loved some of Sonia's questions there. Where do we need to say sorry? But back to the Jains. There is a holiday. It is an annual festivity and occasion where you apologize on an annual basis for things that you have done. But this is the kicker. You also apologize for things that you might do. And I find that fantastic. So I'm sorry for things that I've done. And I just wanted to let you know that if I do make a mistake in the future, I'm sorry about that too. And so I just love receiving the emails annually from several of my Jain friends and colleagues. So thank you for apologizing. And I think from a business aspect, failure is one of the most important things that breeds success. My daughter had to write an essay for her English class about failure. And one of the things that she said was a persuasive essay. She said that failure precedes success. And she talked about, she had such a great essay. She talked about Michael Jordan, being the best free throw shooter in history, but that his average was actually not that high. If you counted out of all of the free throws he's made in his career versus the ones that he's made, it's like, yeah. So you can mess up. You can make mistakes. You can drop something on the floor and let it fester for a while and then pick it back up and keep going with it. You can make mistakes. And it's okay. It's okay. That's how we learn. That's how we learn. I talk a lot about failing fast and failing forward and failing very quickly. And that's how you learn. And that's how you just hone and focus your success even more. It's not that, it's this. It's not that, it's this. Oops, don't do it this way, do it this way. And when ego's involved in that failure, that's when shame comes in. That's where Brene Brown is really good to check in there. So if you don't have that ego and your spirit is just curiously trying things out, even from a business perspective, I would say that it's more profitable to be okay with failure, because failure also breeds innovation. Innovation also breeds a point of differentiation for your business or your product, right? So yeah, I am sorry. And the last part of that is to say, I'm sorry to myself or to yourself. Isn't that amazing? If we could give the love that we give to everybody all day long, if we could give that same quantity of love back to ourselves, I think the world would be a very different place, especially in the workplace. All right, so let's move into the next idea. Gratitude, of course, Carolyn May says, is the best attitude. In Healing Calendar 365, in the back, I added a couple of pages from different success journals that I have written or made available here that I need to get on my website so you can access them. But there is, I would like to, this is one of my intentions, but I would like to work on my blog more. It is a gratitude blog or an online gratitude journal. It's called Above the Cloud Cover. And in my working life, I am a prolific business traveler. And I noticed something, that every time I would go above the cloud cover, what was happening? The sun was shining. So while I was below overcast, the cloud cover had kind of, Ohio's very gray for the most part. And when I would take off from the airport and we would, go up through the clouds, the sun would always be shining. And so that is how I approach gratitude. Even though the shit, excuse my French, has hit the fan, right? Maybe something has gone terribly wrong, right? Just knowing that the sun is still shining makes gratitude so much easier. I have a friend who is a martial artist, and he says it's so much easier to go from negativity to neutrality than it is from going negative to positive right away. That's too much of a jump. So if you can go negative to neutral and then neutral to positive, it's such an easier thing. So it's possible to turn around when you're feeling toxic or burnt out or frustrated or anxious or nervous, or name your struggle in the workplace, at home, in life, wherever, whatever. If you can change to neutral, or if you can go from furious to feeling frustrated, change that vibrational feeling there with what's going on, you can absolutely target that gratitude and hone in on it. And there's something here that I'm grateful for. So on page 123 is when the above the cloud covered gratitude journal shows up. And there's a quotation in here. It says, energy follows thought and responds immediately to our intentions. So if as we're talking about goals and intentions and success here, that's right. Energy follows those things. So if you think it and you say it and you feel it, guess what? It'll show up. And that happens positively or negatively. So I'm going to take a moment and write what I'm grateful for today. And I encourage you to do the same thing. And as we share in the live version, none of your responses will be included in the recorded version for safety and trust of sharing. So please know that. Today, I am grateful for chai, which is the Hindi word for tea. We have embraced that word. It's spicy tea with milk and sugar. I had one this morning, a large one, way more caffeine than I needed. And then at lunch, right after lunch, I had an exam, a French exam. So I had another one at lunch. And then when I got back from my French exam, my colleague had bought me one because she knows how much I like them. So I've had 3 today. And so either I'm really chatty or really productive or just bouncing off the walls. So I'm really grateful for chai. Also, I'm grateful for the courage to show up to my exam even though I wasn't ready and try and do the very best that I could with what I had available. Courage to show up and not get attached to the outcome. The courage to let go of the outcome. I also had the courage to let go of trying to control things that I couldn't control, that were completely out of my control. Let go of control. That is very difficult for me sometimes. I am grateful for those 3 things: the courage to show up, the courage to let go of outcome, and the courage to let go of my control of a situation that was out of my control. And so those 3 chais represent those 3 things for today. Thank you for letting me share. I really appreciate it. Okay, let's talk about intentions for a second. Intentions are not goals. Goals, hopefully, are SMART goals. Look that up on Google. You have to make sure that they are simple, that you can measure them. I forget what SMART means, but look up SMART goals, because if you can measure your goals, then you can really influence your actions. But intentions are really the frequency and the vibration and the energy that goes with those goals. What is it from a high level idea that you hope for the month of April? And it is not, intentions do not go through your brain, they go through your heart. So if you can shut down your computer brain, whatever program it's running in this moment, and really move into intentionality. What do you intend for April? I don't have a spot specifically for intentions in this book, but I just always seem to be writing them into the margins of the goal, the monthly goal page. So that would be 57 for this month, page 57. So my intention is about retrieval. We had a lot of souls leave in a very short amount of time here in the last 3 years, 2.5 years, 2 years. I have lost track of time, and it's okay. So we're doing a lot of energy retrieval and a lot of healing, deep letting lettings go, right? We're deeply letting go a lot of deep hurt that has been here for many generations. And the tectonic plates, energetic plates, are shifting around. And we no longer have the anchors that we have had. Those no longer are able to keep things into place. And so now, since things are moving around, is a perfect time to call your energy back and call your power back. You think about some of those moments in your life where you have completely let yourself go or given your power over to somebody else. And then suddenly you are looking to them and for them for external validation because you have completely just given yourself up. And I have done this a lot in my life. And the beautiful part about healing is that you just start where you are and then you just call your power back. And all you have to say is, hey, power, get back here. Get back here, and do it in an imperative way. It's a command form of the verb. Power, come back to me now. Remember when I got divorced, or whatever your scenario is, or remember when you broke up with somebody, or quit a job, or was let go from a job, or I'm just those moments of transition, something that creates a lot of emotion, death, a fight, any kind of an engagement where the result would be you giving your power up, or even conversations with people in your organization or your family where you will cover or shut down or diminish or dim so that you can keep the peace. That's also a very subtle form of giving your power away. And so the idea is to call your power back. Your power, come back to me. And again, if you imagine that energy can come back to you at any time, time is not linear. Let's just say that's true. It'll come back to you, even from something that happened 15 years ago. You can still call it back. So that is my intention. Don't dim your light to make someone else feel more comfortable. Yes, it's important to make sure that everybody's feeling comfortable, but not at your expense, not at the expense of your light. Don't dim your light. That's my intention. All right, let's move into goals now. Okay, so let's review March goals. Okay, I have my goals written down on page 50. Okay, so last month I said, still healing from my awesome concussion that I got in January. So February and March were pretty foggy. And I just sort of one day, the light kind of came back on and the neurons in my brain started to connect a little bit quicker and my pathways had reformed and I was starting to predict things a little more accurately. And so brain trauma is amazing, but so is the healing process. So I know that a lot of the goals that I set are still the ones that I had in January, February, and March. And that's okay, because I have seen movement on the things that sometimes just get stuck and just sit there because of perfectionism, or because there's not enough time, or because I was busy, or whoever, because I got a concussion. It doesn't matter. It's okay. So for March, I said I would like to plan content for social media. So no, I still haven't done that. I have a plan that I haven't done it, but I have become faster at creating content. And so now here's my goal for that moving forward. I'm going to wait to share this, but this is a book that my mom and dad wrote for me, because this was 11 years ago, I gave this journal to my parents on Christmas, and it says, Mom and Dad, I hope you will help me fill this book up, adding ideas you have cherished from your bookshelves. Love, Laura. Daily thoughts from my parents. And then 7 years later, my mom writes, happy birthday, much love always. And they wrote their favorite quotes for every day of the year. So now this is a special thing. I can't believe they actually humored my request, but they did. And so now I have this really cherished book. And I would like to share out some of these quotes that my parents shared with me. And so that's one instance of how I can share. And so I'm coming up with these ideas in March. I had just kind of started thinking about themes. My book that launched last year, called Verbs as Guidance. It's 52 verbs of how you can take action in a very deliberate, wonderful way. And there's guidance in there that you can co-author the book with, whether you write, draw, listen, or um, write, draw, listen, or question. And so that could be a section of social. So in March, I think my brain is now starting to see that there are some pillars here. You know, there's advertisements for these kinds of things, just to kind of get the word out. There's content that seems to be really, people are starting to really engage with it. And you know, then I'm going to be starting some new workshops, putting some curriculum together. So you will see some of that content kind of peep out in social as well. Leadership training kind of modules. So stay tuned for those. But you'll see those goals kind of come in the summer, I think. But for now, I mean, I think I'm starting to see those concepts really come into more fuller ideas, even inside my head. So it's not on paper yet, but I'm starting to see that there are actual themes. And I've been looking at my analytics, and I've been able to see how many people have been engaging with my posts, what kinds of posts, what channel are they on. And so I'm getting better at it. And so, I mean, yeah, I mean, the process has been rather slow, but it's been gratifying and really exciting. And I've learned a ton about social in the process. So cool. Okay, exercise, you guys know I've been really on a big kick of exercising. And so I said I wanted to exercise 15, what did I say? Oh, I wanted to exercise 20 out of 31 days in March. That was my goal. 20 days out of the 31 days. I did not do 20, but how many did I do? I did 17. And that's 17 more than I would have done if I hadn't set my goal and tried to make it. Cool. I said I wanted to write a book in 2022, and I did write several pages, several chapters. They're little chapters this go around. There's not several, you know, it's just very short chapters. So I did write some additional chapters there. That was so healing and wonderful. It's such a great book that I'm writing. And I wanted to read Dare to Lead. I had a meeting about it with my friend. She and I are doing a book club together, and I have the workbook now. So now we have read through the first three sections. So we're going to meet about those. And then we're going to read the fourth section. So we'll talk about that next, but that was what I did. I had some engagement there with that. So moving that forward, and that's all I had. Oh, I said I wanted to do Reiki. I wanted to give some Reiki, and I did. I had my first Reiki person I didn't know, which was cool. I think I talked about that in the last bit, but that was fun. So, and I have continued, I think that'll continue as well. So I'm gonna ask the live people about their goals. If anybody wants to share, of course, that won't be in the recording moving forward. So please share. And if you're listening later, please journal. How did your goals from March show up for you? Okay, let's establish some goals for April. And yes, they can build on goals from Q1. That's exactly right. January goals, February goals, March goals, new goals, you decide. And if you don't want to set goals at all, you don't have to either. So there you go. So retrieval, calling power back is my intuition. I would like to continue to work on social media planning. I'll just make it ongoing. I'll make it a gerund. So yes, I am planning. I am. And the plan will emerge. I now have, I would like to write down what the pillars are. Let me just be more granular. Let me define 5 pillars of content. That's all I have to do. Okay. In the month of April, there are 30 days. I would like to exercise 20 of them. I would like to continue writing in my book, and I would like to work on Dare to Lead, reading that book by Brene Brown, and the workbook. So that'll be really cool. So feel free to share live. We'll stop the recording, and then feel free to journal too if you're listening later. You can stop me and then journal, stop, and then we'll share. It'll be great. And we'll be right back. After all this goalness, the message here is you are enough. I am enough. Without my busy doingness and my achieving goalness, I am enough as is. That is a very important message. Don't forget, here's a reminder that in the Healing Calendar 365 that we do have future planning aspects here. Future planning is a tool that is so good for strategy. Starting backwards. Let's say that you wanted to go to a trip. Name your location. I'm going to name Italy for my example. So that's my end result. Future planning is that you start with the end in mind, and then you back it up. So how is it that we're going to get to Italy? Well, we're probably going to need an airplane. We're going to probably need to go in an airplane to get there. Okay, well, how do I get on an airplane? What do I need in order to do that? Oh, I need to buy a ticket. Okay, so how do I buy a ticket? Okay, I can buy it online, or I can call a travel agent. Okay, so what's the website URL and what's the phone number to get that? See how granular you can get down, even just to getting there. If you divide it into actions, you can then chomp on those individual actions with that larger goal in mind. Yes, and then finally I made it to Italy. And then, well, what's the itinerary? Where am I going to stay? What am I going to do? Where am I going to eat? All of those things. But that future planning helps you break those into tiny chunks that allow you to achieve them gradually. And then at the end, you can put all of those pieces back together, and you've got this incredible experience or program or project or strategy or objectives that you can meet that then send right back up to your organization's mission and vision. That is on page, it's at the beginning, before we get into everything. I call it there's a little blurb on the present moment, and that's really important as we start planning, right? This one's called the 52-week pickup, 52 card pickup, get the play on words. Thank you very much. This is the calendar. And this is kind of a 52-week layout for you to think through where you're going this year and next. Okay, so that is on page 26 and 27 of Healing Calendar 365. You can really get into that future planning. So get in the airplane and go above the cloud cover where the positivity and the gratitude is, and think about it. What could I plan for if I couldn't do it wrong? What would I plan for if it actually worked out in the way that I wanted it to work out? What would happen if I didn't have fear or pain about my experience? What would happen if I didn't get in my own way? What would happen if I said, I'm sorry? What would happen if I let my spirit lead instead of my ego? What would happen if I didn't take things personally? What would happen if I learned from my failures and was okay with making mistakes and let perfectionism go? What would happen? So yes, there is such a cool mechanism in this book that allows you a place to do just that. And just keep in mind, now we've started Q2, so April, May, and June. We're in April. So, what do we want the spring to look like for us? Now's the time to take some time. You can draw or journal, write some notes. Of that, for this month is on page 64. So feel free to take some time to do that. Okay, so live people, let's ask questions and get into a discussion, and remote people and after the fact people, webinar watchers and podcast listeners, feel free to journal or do this in a group and share. It's fun to do small group discussion about your goals and intentions as well. All right, keep in mind that I am an email away. Everything is virtual now, and I am a Zoom call away as well. So you can reach me at Laura, Laura, at Sonrisa Products, all one word.com. I have some virtual appointments set up around evenings and weekends right now. This is a very fun thing. I do this as my side hustle, which is so fun. It is my main focus. It is my main awareness and my main place of healing and the courage to be visible with all of you. So I would love to meet with you individually or in a small group. Just let me know. I would be happy to connect. So sonrisaproducts.com, you can get all that information, and you can email me directly if you want. That's great. I would love to hear from you. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to remind you that our next First Friday webinar is being held on May 6th. May's First Friday is the 6th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I hope that you come live. It's so fun. And then it's so fun too, if you want to listen later or watch later, you can. So sonrisaproducts.com/healing365 is how you can register online. That's where you can purchase Healing 365 by Laura Newberry-Yokley. And I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for being here, and I really appreciate it.